Welcome, Musab Yusuf.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We have all read your story about turning your back on Hamas. And the question that I've always had since I read your book was, was there a specific moment when you understood that you were going to spend your life fighting the ideology that was supposed to be the core of your identity?
It's very hard to point out a turning point because this is a journey. And this is a, a long fight against Hamas mentality, the culture where I was brought up into. When I talk about Hamas, I'm talking about my own family, I'm talking about my father. So this is a very sensitive issue. It's my early child conditioning that meant for me to be something, but I choose to be something completely different. You can say that this is everyday fight since I was very young. The Hamas indoctrination, abuse, violence, and it was crowned by my experience in prison when I witnessed Hamas torturing Arabs, torturing our own people. Many of them were killed. Their families were destroyed. Their reputation were ruined. And Hamas did not have mercy on anybody. Outside prison, they were blowing up buses, markets, targeting civilians indiscriminately. And in prison, they were killing our own people. Anyone who opposed their mindset or the way they perceived reality, they became opponents. And Hamas has no mercy on anyone who opposed them. So I can go on and on for a very long time just describing what made me not like Hamas at the beginning and what makes me fight against them and against their ideology. There are many reasons, personal reasons, ideological reasons, fundamental reasons. I'm really shocked that I have to explain to the people why Hamas need to be fought.
Yeah, and it's amazing when I think about what you've gone through and your journey. And then you look at some of the students that we see on campus right now waving the Hamas flag and talking about Hamas as if it's some kind of, I don't know, justice, social justice organization. It is truly remarkable to think about what you've gone through. But let me ask you actually something about the broader war. I mean, I watch what's going on right now, what Hamas has done to the Gaza Strip. I mean, they've brought complete catastrophe to their own people. And so I think my question to you is just what do you think Yahya Sinwar was thinking on 10/7? Do you think he understood what he was starting? Do you think that he even believes that he can win this today?
Look, Yahya Sinwar is an animal. In fact, he's sub-animal. This man is a madman. He suffocated five Palestinians during the first Palestinian Intifada with his own hands to death. This is why Israel locked him up back in the first Intifada for 5 life sentence, not because he killed Jews, because he killed Arabs. Then during the Gilad Shalit prisoner swap, they released him back in 2011. And look what he did in a short period of time. He was able to take Hamas military wing to a whole new level of brutality, of total destruction. This man is a very, very dangerous man, and he doesn't care for the lives of anybody. If the entire Gaza Strip oppose him, he's going to consider everybody a traitor, and he would not hesitate to sacrifice civilians to achieve his political agendas. This man is ruthless, and this is what bothers me the most.
Yeah.
When the president of the free world consider him as a counterpart or someone that we can negotiate with, because nobody can satisfy him. And whether if he was thinking to win, he says that things went out of control in some of his communication with the negotiating team in Qatar. What do you mean things went out of control? You send thousands of fighters and you give them drugs to go kill civilians indiscriminately and bring as many hostages as they could. What are you thinking, that this is going to be a fun ride? So the man is a madman, and he cannot take responsibility, and he made it very clear that he's willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to free more mass murderers, his friends, from prison. That's number one. Second, his game is to delegitimize Israel and bring the free world to its knees. He's challenging the United States. He's not only challenging Israel, and he doesn't care about Palestine. He doesn't care about the Palestinian state. The man does not have the capacity to actually build any. He's not a statesman. He's a destructive force that is pushing the free world to its knees, and he's succeeding.
He is succeeding. I want to ask you about another entity that is succeeding, and that is Iran. They're gotten away with launching this war with the help of Hamas, but it's not just Hamas. Obviously, we see Hezbollah, we see the Houthis. So I want to ask you about this. I mean, this is a Shiite country that contributes in a huge way to Hamas, which is, of course, a Sunni organization. So a question I've always had for someone who had a front row seat, as you had with Hamas, how does Hamas leadership deal with this issue, this sectarian difference between Sunni and Shia and the assistance that Hamas gets from Iran?
This shows you that actually Hamas don't have any moral compass when it comes to money, when it comes to power. Whoever is funding them and going along with their ideology is their friend, even though Iran is their worst enemy. The Shia versus Sunni, this is a big war. Hundreds of thousands of Muslims on both sides of the aisle got killed. And this is according to the Islamic history books. It's a deadly, bloody fight since the days of Muhammad, full of assassinations, full of warring, and they don't like each other. They hate each other. They curse each other in their mosques. You know, like, for example, the Sunnis would say Abu Bakr, Omar, Ali, and Uthman radiyallahu anhum, and which means like God bless them. The Shias would say the same names and say God curse them. We saw them in Karbala. We saw them in Iraq blowing each other's mosques. And I don't want to go in the long history of lots of bloodshed. But Hamas understands the game that Iran is trying to control the Middle East through supporting or funding its proxies, and that includes Hamas, Houthis, and other groups. Most importantly, Hezbollah, which is Hezbollah is Shi'i like Iran, but they exist in a Christian country, a country of a Christian majority, which is Lebanon, and now they are dragging the entire country into chaos. Iran considers Hamas a weapon against the Jewish state, but also they consider Hezbollah a deadly weapon against a Christian state. Take this in consideration. They don't consider Lebanon as a Muslim state or as an Arab state. So this is Iran's game, and my father and Hamas leadership, they understand this. They know that Iran is an eternal enemy to the Sunni world, but because they are desperate for funds and Iran takes advantage of their desperation, they show loyalty to Iran. But fundamentally, they hate each other more than they hate the United States, more than they hate Israel.
Really an interesting dynamic. Let me ask you something about what's going on here at home. I mentioned the students earlier, and you and I talked about this not too long ago. We're both concerned about what we're seeing on campus. We have students that clearly appear to be under the sway of people that believe in the Hamas ideology. What needs to be done here in the United States, your adopted country, country of my birth? What needs to be done here to address the hate speech and the intimidation and violence and anti-Semitism that we see on campus here and on Main Street in the United States?
My concern that violence is rooted in our country, regardless of the Palestinian trigger. It looks like people are frustrated for many different reasons. There is a failure, and there is a cultural crisis. There is illegal immigration. There is economical problem. Spiritually, we are bankrupted. Morally, we have so many problems. And when Palestine comes to the picture as a trigger, people use it as a vehicle to just express their anger and their frustration. And I think even after the Palestinian issue fade away, there is going to be another angry cause at some point. And my concern actually is the next elections and how the Americans will accept the results of the elections. My concern, God forbids that things will turn violent. So this is why we need all to get united to help those who are in desperate need for guidance, those who are frustrated, those who don't see things for what they are, instead of allowing predators and foreign entities to mislead them. Russia is at play, North Korea is at play, Iran is at play, and today with the social media, we don't have boundaries. They can easily infiltrate our campuses, they can infiltrate even our households, and spread their propaganda, like what we are witnessing during this war. So we are very vulnerable right now because of this. I don't want to say cyber attack, but this is a cyber threat that we don't know actually who is managing those entities, giant accounts, millions of followers, or even hundreds of thousands, but they have the capacity to mobilize a mob downtown Manhattan and give them targets of interest. So all this is just indication. I don't mean to scare the public, but I think this is the job of the FBI, and the National Guard must be always ready for some chaos. What we are going through right now is very, very serious, and I don't want to take it too far, but the Palestine issue is not, let's say, a national threat at the moment, but it's an indicator to show us where we stand and how America's enemies can take advantage of any angry situation to threaten the American national security.
Okay, Mossab Youssef, thank you very much for your thoughts this morning. We appreciate you joining the FDD Morning Brief.
Thank you. I appreciate it.